Hello everyone, it's DragonZBW here, and today I've got a pretty cool thing that I've rigged up to my TV. So, um, over here we have an Arduino Uno microcontroller. And if you don't know what this is, the Arduino is a very powerful computer board that can be programmed using its native programming software to send electronic signals to different components. For instance, you could rig it up to turn on and off a bunch of LEDs, or play sounds on a speaker. And you might not think that this is much, but when you hook it up to some different things and put some really complicated code, it can do some awesome stuff that you wouldn't think a circuit board this small would be able to do. So, today, what I have is, as you can see, there's a little joystick here. And on the TV, there is a cube. Now, if I move the joystick around, the cube will move with which direction I move the joystick. And I can rotate it in any direction, up and down and side to side. Now, before I show you the code that this runs on, let me show you how it's hooked up to the TV. So, here's the Arduino. It's plugged into a power strip over there, and that's giving it power. Now, the power from that is being routed from the Arduino to a lot of different places. It's being sent out from these two resistors into this alligator wire, which runs all the way over here, along with a white alligator wire that's connected over here to ground. And the way these two resistors are working, one of them is a 470 ohm resistor and one of them is a 1000 ohm resistor. And because they're different amounts of resistance, this sets up a voltage divider. And what that does, basically, is it is able to send out 3 different currents to this red alligator wire. Each of these different currents represents a different color on the TV screen. The first current represents nothing, the second current represents 0, and the third current represents white, as far as I know. So what the programming here is doing is using this voltage divider to change the colors on the TV screen. And of course this is all hooked up to a yellow RCA video cable that's plugged into the side of the TV. It's right there. And when you do this with the RCA video cable, you have to cut this end of it because one of these alligator wires needs to be hooked up to the center part of the RCA cable, and one of them needs to be, and the white one needs to be hooked up to the side part, because the two parts of the RCA cable do two different things. Now, I guess I'll head over and show you the code. Okay, so here we are in the Arduino application. You see I've got my program open here, and all this at the top, this is code that imports all the different header files, which basically contain functions that you need to manipulate the TV. So this program is a modified version of one of the default programs from the TV Out Arduino library, which can be downloaded from the link in the description. So we have all these variables here. UD and LR have to do with the joystick, UD for up down, LR for left right, and Z off, X off, and Y off all have to do with the rotation of the cube, I think. And then this is a big, gigantic matrix of all the different points, basically, in the cube. So that just sets it up. And then, once you get into this stuff, this is what actually controls the cube. So in our setup function here, which is a default function set up by Arduino that runs at the very beginning of any program, tv.begin will run, which is a function from the tvout library, as well as tv.selectFont, tv.println, tv.delay, and tv.clearscreen. And these all have to do with what is happening on the TV. And none of this is really important. This is just some text that it displays before the cube appears on the screen. And then it'll clear the screen, and then it will print the cube. Now, this function, void loop, is another default function set up by Arduino. And this function is a function that will continually loop after the setup function has been run. So in the loop function, the up-down axis of the joystick is continually set to the analog value of the up-down axis on the joystick. And the up-down axis on the joystick is wired into the analog 0 input pin, and basically the same thing with left-right, except it's on analog 1. And then it checks if left-right is greater than or equal to 520, and so the joystick's axes output a value from 0 to 1080, with a value of 512 being the middle value that it will be at if no one is moving the joystick. So just to be safe, I put it at 520 and 500 for the values that it checks. So the code here is checking basically if you're moving the joystick to one side, and then if you are, it will rotate the cube on the y-axis by 0.1 degrees, and then it will print the cube. And it's the same with all these other things. These are just on the UD ones are on the x-axis, and so on. So you know how you've been seeing this print cube function so often. This is another default function of the tvout library. And what it does is it simply calculates the 2D points on the TV screen that the cube would have based on the cube's matrix float variable. And then it chooses how large the cube should be by the resolution of the TV divided by 2. And then, after that happens, it will delay the TV by 1 frame so that you'll actually be able to see the rotation. Then it'll clear the screen, and then it will draw the cube. And this draw cube function is basically, it takes all of the calculated points from print cube and actually draws lines between them to create the cube. It all has to do with the joystick's axes being connected to different inputs. And when the joystick is turned in a specific direction, as mentioned here, it will execute a function that rotates the cube, y-rotate or x-rotate. And those functions are also part of the tvout library, and they are all down here. Y-rotate and x-rotate. And this is the code for them. It's pretty complicated. Basically, all it does is rotate the cube. I don't understand quite how all this tx, tz, temp stuff works, and the cosine and sine. But other than that, it's not too complicated. Anyway, you can get the tvout library from the link in the description if you want to do this yourself. And I'll also link another tutorial in the description that tells you exactly how to hook the Arduino up to your TV. So, thanks for watching, and see you later.